Hello and welcome to another Ridercast episode 19. This is the Build edition. I'm MJ. I'm really into Tokusatsu, and I didn't want to watch Kamen Rider Zio this year, so I decided to sample all the Hesei-era riders from Kuuga to Zio, and I'm on 19 of 20. So here we go. Kamen Rider Build. The first thing I want to start off with is the meta information. And sorry, I'm making coffee for myself right now too. But the show ran from September 3rd, 2017 to August 26th, 2018. The first and second episodes were written by Shogo Muto, who is new to Kamen Rider. And they were directed by Ryuta Tasaki, who is not new to Kamen Rider. And let's see. Shoto Mugo, I pulled up his entry on the wiki, but he was the head writer for Build. I think he wrote each and everything, like every single episode, every single movie for Kamen Rider Build, which is pretty cool. Besides that, done with Shoto. The theme song was, or the opening song, the OP was Be the One. It says that the band is called Pandora, which again, I think this is one of those ad hoc bands, and the singer is Beverly. And let's see if they say who did the lyrics. Yes, Be the One, Nightlight, Messenger, something. Okay, yeah. My internet has betrayed me, and the everything's gone frozen. So, sung by Beverly. You can get it on iTunes, I think. But moving on from that, the suit actors of note, we have Seiji Takawa for Kamen Rider Build, and I cannot mention anybody else right now because I just can't. There's nobody. Oh, actually, that's not true. There was Kamen Rider Night Rogue, and Night Rogue was portrayed by Watanabe Jun. Yes, and they don't have an entry on here for the Smash because I'm sure various stuntmen played Smash. Or Smashes, not, Super Smash Brothers. Anyway, I don't even own a Nintendo anymore, guys. So I don't know where that came from. Now I want to go ahead and talk about the premise of the show. So Kiryuu Sento is an amnesiac. He only has memories for about the last year when he was found by Isurugi, who's the owner of the cafe, who I'll talk about later. And he's a genius physicist, or I don't know if he's a genius or not, but he's definitely a physicist. He's very smart, and he has been operating his Kamen Rider Build kind of because he has nothing better to do, it seems. I don't know what else to say about him. He calls Ryuga dumb, Vanja Ryuga dumb, and he refers to him as an idiot and stuff, and he kind of gets frustrated, and he seems like he wants to abandon him, but because they share something in common, he realizes that the same people who were experimenting on Ryuga were experimenting on him and the other Smash. He feels a kinship with him and decides to put himself in danger and make himself a fugitive of the government, and he acts heroically and saves the guy. Now, it's because he commiserated with him, but I think that, formed a connection. It bridged the gap between the two of them, and he could have just sent him off on his own, but then he actually incorporates him into his life and basically embarks on a quest to help free him and clear his name and all that. So, pretty good guy. So the premise of Kamen Rider Build is that 10 years ago, a Martian artifact brought by Japanese NASA, or whatever their space group is called. Sorry, I don't know. It's not Otsu in this show, like I expected it to be from Forza. Anyway, they brought back an artifact, and somebody, while it was being presented at this big shindig, big to-do, with a bunch of officials there, went and touched it. And when the man made contact with it, it did a couple things. A large amount of light emanated from the box, this Pandora box, as they call it. Not Pandora's box, but Pandora box. And out of it came structures and light dividing the country in three from the epicenter of where they were meeting, and now there are three political factions splitting Japan. The sky wall is what they call it. It can be circumnavigated, but like it seems like, well, anyway, I don't know that happens yet. but it can be circumnavigated because it doesn't like go throughout the whole world. It's just around the island nation of Japan, or it's in the middle of the island nation of Japan. And there's this guy Kiryuu Sento, who has been Kamen Rider Build for about a year. He fights Smash and cures the people who are being experimented on by a clandestine organization who he is pretty sure messed with him too, and he purifies the Smash by defeating them and taking their essence or whatever into these bottles that he uses to power up Build, and that's kind of the premise. He meets a fugitive, Vanja Ryuga, who is being framed for a murder, and they get together and decide to work together, and in doing so, Kamen Rider Build becomes a fugitive and an outlaw as well, and is being pursued by the government. Meanwhile, there's this evil organization headed up by a Batman with a smokestack horn on his head, who's like helping to make the Smash. So that's pretty much it. Very kludgy, very messy, but there it is. It's kind of a lot to take in these first 2 episodes. So Vanja Ryuga, we don't get too much an insight into his character. He's kind of short-tempered. He seems kind of like a meathead. He's a fighter. He was in love with this woman who, I guess he threw a fight for her, or there were some complications. He was in trouble for that. He got his license as a boxer suspended, and then he ended up being framed for this murder. He's good-hearted. He's brave. He tries to fight the Smash on his own, and I think he also fights off the Guardians, which are these like androids that are part of the pacifist government of Toto, which is where they live. And that's really all I have to say about him. There isn't well, I guess one other thing. He is clever. He gets Misora to set down her phone, and he calls somebody, dialing with his feet, and he breaks out and is able to. He's like a self-starter. He's motivated. He tries to take care of business on his own, even though he has some trouble accomplishing things because he's kind of just way out of his depth dealing with all this, monster stuff in a Kamen Rider show. So I thought this earlier, but I don't know if I said it, so if I'm saying it again, sorry for being redundant. But the show really gives the cast permission to be silly and to be funny. And Isarugi, the boss man here, the owner-operator of Cafe Naskita, I think is what it's called. I love coffee. Anyway, he gets to be silly, but he's also kind of serious. He's kind of, in Spider-Man Homecoming, Ned made the joke about, can I be the guy in the chair? Or, like in Flash and Arrow and stuff. He's kind of the guy in the chair for Build, but, Sento, but I think Misora kind of fills that role too. And it's interesting, they have this infrastructure there at the coffee shop. They've got this hidden base, and they're, I don't know, it's really weird what he's going to be in the show. I'm suspecting there's something mysterious going on with him. Maybe he's part of like a secret branch of the government or a private actor or someone with a bunch of money, because he's operating this cafe, but there's, like I said, a secret base under it. They have to draw materials to, power the machine that converts the essence of the Smash into bottles for Build and stuff. So, like, there seems to be a lot more going on here than we've learned in these first 2 episodes with him. But I like him overall. He does get to be very funny. And I enjoy the charisma of the actor, and it'll be interesting to see like if he's just a mentor character or how he proceeds throughout the rest of the show based on what he's presented in these 2 episodes. Misora is, I think the word is acerbic, so she's like a little bit prickly, a little unfriendly, and I'm fine with that. We don't know why she like continues to be involved in the situation, other than the fact that like she's got that bracelet or that ability that I kind of think we're meant to understand comes from her bracelet to purify the bottles and turn them into stuff for Build. But like she's kind of disaffected. The image that I have saved for her, it's her on her phone, and she's there because she has to be, sort of. And I don't know. I appreciate her prickliness and like the fact that she doesn't want to be there, it seems, but she's involved in this, crazy situation anyway. And I like what we've seen from her so far. She's a lot of fun, and I don't know, I hope to see how that develops in the future. So the next character is going to be, I don't remember the other half of her name, but it's Sawa. She's a reporter. She gets hit on by the nasty prime minister guy at the beginning of the show. She's, like I said, she's a reporter. She is saved by Sento in the beginning of the episode, and she wants to find out what's going on. It seems like she's just like a hungry reporter, like literally she's just looking for a big scoop so that she can make money and support herself. But she's a person, so I'm sure she's not happy with any casualties being caused by the smash. And I mean, other than she's a reporter and she's trying to get to the truth of things, she is also self-interested. She tries to angle for money and stuff, which I think is cool. It feels pretty realistic, and I don't know, I like her gumption and her attitude. And like Gentoku calls her later in the episode, right before she gets attacked, and she's like, "No, you're a pig. Leave me alone." And that's cool. She's got a tude. So Gentoku is the creep I was talking about earlier. He seems very two-faced. He seems quasi, if not outright villainous at this point. And it was interesting, in the beginning of the episode, we saw that he got hit by the wave from the Pandora box, and he told Sento that everybody who was exposed to that has become very aggressive, and like they had all their aggression like hyper-focused. And that's pretty interesting to me, and it makes me wonder what exactly is going on. Obviously, there's some secret stuff happening that he wouldn't want Sento knowing about, and he's also a creep with Sawa. But I wonder if that's that aggressiveness on display. Who knows? He has an aide, like a junior official, Utsumi, who helps him out. This guy, Utsumi, looks like Brain from Drive, and actually, Hiromu Gentoku, kind of reminds me of Heart in a way, and I think it's weird that apparently Mutoshogo like absorbed all this Kamen Rider before he started writing the show, and then like there's seeming pastiche or like nods to previous Rider series in like some of the way the characters look and in some things that happen later on, and I just think it's kind of weird. Like the amnesia thing. You know who else had amnesia and was a Kamen Rider and was living with a family? I don't remember his name. Agito. Kamen Rider Agito. Was his name Shuichi? Anyway, so that's kind of weird to me, but I won't digress. So Ryuga's fiance, I think they were already engaged, Kasumi Ogura, she gets kidnapped by the Smash people, by the Smash Mouth, and experimented on and turned into a Smash as well. And because she's sickly, she's got some sort of like, I don't know, disease or just like a major ailment. And Night Rogue knows that that's going to kill her because of how she's been like not properly fully processed. Reminds me of something from Guyver actually, which is pretty cool because I like Guyver. Anyway, Sento ends up, well anyway, she's an interesting character. She seems to be like a really good lady, and it's too bad she dies. It's used to pretty good effect to make like some strong pathos for Ryuga, and it's a good thing, except the lady had to die, and I don't know, that's too bad, but I think the show handled it pretty well. I'm not ready to jump all over it and say that it's evil of them to have that happen, because when people get hurt they die. So that's all I have to say about Kasumi. I already mentioned before that the cast is allowed to have fun, and there are like a pretty decent amount of jokes made with them. I like how well everybody gels together. The Isurugis are obviously a family, and Sento feels like he's been adopted by them basically, and Ryuga feels kind of like another family member that's been adopted in. And Sawa's this outsider who's interacting with them in an interesting way, like a friend to the family there, the Naskita family, or I guess it'd be the Isurugis, right? But I don't know. I really enjoy all the characters together. There's a good dynamic. It's clear that like the Naskita people, like there's stuff going on with them, but then like Sento has this other job with the government as a researcher trying to figure out stuff about the Pandora box, and like I see a relationship developing with him and Gentoku and Utsumi probably there too. And I'll be interested to see how that happens and if the worlds collide. Obviously, they don't know that he's Build, and he's keeping it a secret from them, especially because Build is on the run now. And I know it'd just be interesting to explore those character dynamics as they develop throughout the rest of the show. But I like the setup of what's going on. So I'm ready to talk about the design work in Kamen Rider Build. The Pandora box, we obviously don't learn anything about it. It had like crust, stone type crust fall off of it when the astronaut got it up on Mars, which is something that we got to see. It has like zigzaggy lines on it that feel vaguely Mayan or something, and those lines repeat on the sky wall, the glimpses that we get to see of it. It has, carved architecture or whatever, and that's consistent. That's a good thing. Obviously, the Smash have an interesting look to them. They're very weird, like geometric. One's very sharp and angled at first. It almost looks like a plane or something, but it's not. And I guess it turns into the hedgehog, so that explains why it looked like that. And Kasumi's Smash later turns into dragon, but she didn't look anything like a dragon, but she had like a fire gun type thing that she was doing. So the other one was angular and spiky. It turned into a hedgehog. She was fiery, turned into a dragon. So I don't know how that all works. But it's clear that all the Smash stuff can be converted into things that'll work for Build, that'll go in the Build driver or whatever. I like the fact that when he cranks the bottles in his belt, that it's like 3D printing or extruding of stuff, and like a mold is extruded, and that's where his suit comes from. It's pretty interesting. His body's got this half and half thing, kind of like double. One of his feet has like a rabbit foot on it. The other foot has like tank and tank treads. And his weapons are weird because like they get extruded out of his belt, but also they can be like put on his bike. I don't know if it gets absorbed back in or what, or it's probably just a dumb, nerdy inconsistency. But he's got like a drill sword that he flips it around and then it turns into a drill gun that shoots out of the hollow side of it. And it's pretty powerful or whatever, but I don't really like the design of that. It feels just very much like a toy and not something cool or interesting, really. Kind of the same thing with his phone. He's got this huge clunky phone that he used the power of the bottles or whatever, like a lion bottle, I think, to insert in there, and then it turns it into a motorcycle. I don't know how a lion turns a motorcycle or a phone into a motorcycle, but the one neat thing about that is that the phone screen is then embedded into like the dashboard or whatever you would call it of the motorcycle, which I think is pretty interesting. And then like all the bottles are themed, and they have the animal or machine type thing that's on them like pop up in little, I don't know, AR displays in front of the thing. I like that. Instead, like, he's got diagonal slashes over his body, and that I just like the flow of it, because they could have gone with double and done it just down the middle, but they did this diagonal split instead, and he's like half and half on either side of his body, and I think it's a pretty fun look. Even he's got like the Kamen Rider O-ring or diamond jewel thing in his head, but it's slanted too, so that's kind of fun, and it's elongated. That being said, some of his stuff is really silly. Like he's got this gorilla diamond form, which is a best match, which it's kind of like doubles like mascot form. So it's like the most powerful type of a form he can get, or one of the most powerful. And like his gorilla hand is huge, and it reminds me of an X8. At one point, X8 gets a giant red fist, like a robot fist thing, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I like the design, although it kind of reminds me of Forza and like how random some of the crap was that he got for power-ups. And Build's got a vacuum, and Gorilla Diamond is a best match, and I don't know what that means. But, the abilities are neat, and the suits all have a pretty simple, it's almost like a palette swap type formula that they have for constructing them. I think Night Rogue looks amazing. I love the bats on him, the like red and green tubes and stuff, and the smokestack thing on his head that it all comes out of, or the smoke comes out of, or whatever, is interesting. And like smoke, and the monsters release like a green gas when they're worked on or when they're destroyed, and the people are put into like a green liquid when they're being experimented on and turned into Smash. So that's a cool consistency. And like I said, the Smash just look weird, so I don't really have too much to say about the design work there. But like it's very effectively creepy. Oh, also the human experimentation and the abduction and the mind wiping or whatever, which possibly led to amnesia, remind me of exactly the setup from Kamen Rider 72. And and I think that's pretty cool. So I dig that. There's some cool. Well, I guess that's not really applicable. I guess I'm transitioning now into talking about my overall thoughts of the show. So let me take a minute and I will get back to you. So my overall thoughts on Kamen Rider Build are that it's a weird show, but I think that that's going to be a really good thing. I think setting it in its own world, because 10 years ago in Kamen Rider they hadn't gone to Mars, so I think this is definitely in like an alternate reality. And I think before the show came out they said stuff like it would be in its own world, disconnected from the other writers, which Zio has undone that, or not really. Does he do space and time, or just I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, my overall thoughts on it are positive. I think Sento's an interesting character. He seems genuinely good, and I can grab onto that, even though he has like a very rude or brusque exterior at times. There's an overarching mystery, which I think will be pleasing. Like, what's going on with the government? What is the secret behind the skywall? Will Sento get his memories back? If so, how? When? What will that do? Will he, is that how he's going to get his final form or whatever? I don't know. But the cast is overall charming, and I find their interactions humorous. I find the danger that they're facing interesting. I like the whole secret evil organization thing again. And I like the corrupted government thing because I think it's healthy in children's media to present to them a government that you cannot quite trust. Because we should trust in people that we know, people that we can see, people we can interact with and have relationships with, and not necessarily trust anonymous people far, far away from us who have their own designs and intentions for their lives, for our lives, etc., etc. So I don't know. With a focus on science, will there be like a heavy focus on like observing things and reacting to them according to your observations, and like kind of seeking the truth and being skeptical about things? I don't know. That'd be interesting. It seems like science is just like a flavor. It's just a flavor or a veneer being thrown on top of stuff, because some of the sciencey stuff is a little silly. Although I did like the fact that Sento did figure out a clever way to defeat the giant merged together, CGI monstrosity of the Guardians that were all stacked together. I think that's pretty cool. I don't really have much else to say. I think that I'm trying to separate how I actually feel about Build from what these first two episodes made me feel. It seems promising, but I'm not like 100% hooked or sold yet. Not like some other premieres of shows. Yeah, and I think I'm going to leave it at that because that's pretty much how I feel. I want to let you know, though, as another Rider cast is coming to a close, it'll probably be 1 week from the release of this. So, third week of July 2019, that another Rider cast should be finished. I should have the Zio episode out, and I'm pretty much going to be done with that. If you want to hear me talk about more tokusatsu, I've got the MJ Loves Toku show, which is both on the Recipher YouTube channel, and you can find an audio link to it on mjmunoz.com. And I, review other things, and I'm going to be launching another channel soon, all about Spider-Man and comic books, so I'll have that linked somewhere in the description as well, when it eventually gets released. And also on mjmunoz.com, you can look that up and find all my stuff there. That's pretty much all I have to say. So until next time, be the one to do something. Anyway, I really like that song. I forgot to mention that earlier. I really like that Be the One song. Very cool. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So mjmunoz.com is home for all my work. Podcasts and reviews of anime, tokusatsu, Star Wars, and more. Plus my original writings. If you didn't enjoy this, critique me. If you did, leave me a comment. If you really like this, consider tipping me at coffee.com/mjmunoz. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Until next time, be well.